Hi everybody, welcome back to another part in I Hunt Killers. We are on chapter 7. Before we begin, we are going to take a deep breath in. Chapter 7, part 1. Got a wakey, Jasper, my boy. Jas forced himself awake the next morning, past the shreds of his father's voice. Lay awake in the sunlight slanting through his window blinds. Got a wakey. People matter, he countered. People are real. And just in case he forgot, the scrolling screensaver on his computer reminded him. Remember Bobby Joe Long. He dressed and headed out to the coffee shop, where he and Howie met almost every morning before school. The tables bore several generations' worth of nicks and stains, and every surface was slick with a grease that seemed to congeal from the very air. But none of that stopped the clientele from pouring in every morning. Jas got there first and grabbed a small table near the window for Howie and himself. He'd invited Connie to join them for their morning ritual about a month ago, but she had declined. You guys need to have your guide time. I don't want you to start ignoring poor Howie just because you have a girlfriend now. Helen was usually on duty this time of day, and today was no exception. She spied Jas from across the shop, saw he was alone, and nodded to him. A nod that said, I'll be over once Howie gets here. One of the benefits of living in a small town. Howie came in a few moments later. Jas watched him make his careful way through the crowded line of people waiting for takeout coffee, gently edging bodies aside and making as little contact as possible to avoid bruises. Once again, Howie announced as he got to the table, Howie the Barbarian deftly avoids the crushing throngs of heathens looking to destroy him and arrives unscathed. Did your mom say anything about the bruise on your wrist? Wore long sleeves today. I'm no dummy. What can I get you today, Howie? Helen asked, gliding up to their table. She didn't have to ask Jas because he always drank his coffee black with a little sugar. Howie, though, treated ordering coffee as if it were some sort of game show, where you only get points for not repeating yourself. He tapped a finger to his lips. What do I feel like having today? Jas held up his wrist so that Howie could see his watch. School in 20 minutes. You can't rush my creative genius, Howie said, with your quotidian worries. Quotidian? Seriously? I would have said mundane, but that word is so mundane. I do have other tables, Helen reminded them. I think today, Howie announced, I'm going to try a non-fat macchiato with a double shot of caramel, lots of foam, and whipped cream on top. Helen's pen hesitated at her order pad. Foam and whipped cream? Howie pretended to mull it over. Yep. And you want non-fat, but then you want whipped cream? I'm a complicated man with complicated taste buds. Before Helen could move away entirely, Jas stopped her. Make those to go, will you? Sure, Jasper. What the? Howie broke off. Oh, I see. Sleazoid alert. He had seen what Jas noticed moments before. Sitting at the coffee shop's counter was none other than Doug Weathers, a reporter for the county's weekly rag of a newspaper. When Billy had been caught and arrested, Weathers found himself in the catbird seat as the first reporter on the scene, and the one with all the background dirt. He knew the most recent victims' families. He knew the area. He knew Billy's friends and co-workers. He had even met Billy once, many years earlier, at some local political function. And Weathers milked that for all it was worth when the time came. Suddenly, he was in demand as a local expert, his mug plastered all over CNN and Fox News and all the major broadcast channels. For months, you couldn't turn on the television without seeing Billy Dent. And right after Billy, you'd see Doug Weathers. Doug was also responsible for pictures of Jas showing up, first in the newspapers and then on TV. Jas was sure there were people he hated more than Doug Weathers, but he was equally sure that it was a really short list. He wanted to get out of the coffee shop before Doug Weathers could. Too late. Weathers had turned on his stool and spied Jazz and Howie. His eyes, murky and dung-colored, widened, and he slid off the stool immediately. Oh, great. Hey there, Jasper, Weathers said, grabbing a chair from another table to join the boys. Fancy meeting you here. Yeah, real fancy, Howie growled. Everyone knows we get coffee here. How long have you been waiting for us? Weathers grinned. He was in his 30s, medium build, with a face that looked sad even when he smiled. It was a bright, clear day outside, but he wore a trench coat anyway, probably because someone had once told him that reporters wore them. Hey, Gersten, if you want in on the fame, I can make it happen. Convince Jasper here to give me an exclusive, a one-on-one interview, mano a mano, and I'll do a nice sidebar with you as the best friend who lived through the madness. Wow, Jazz, Howie whistled with false appreciation. A sidebar. I could be a sidebar. Back off, Jazz said to Weathers. Did you not understand it the 10 times I said it to you? Check it, kid. Together we could... Or the 6 times I emailed it to you? Get your side of the story out there? Or the dozen texts? And make a big splash with it. Weathers rattled on as if Jazz had said nothing. Come on, just a single interview. Been up to the penitentiary to see your dad lately? That's even better. Good atmosphere. I'll get a photographer and we can go together. One little interview. Won't hurt anyone, and it'll change your life. His eyes danced with excitement. It'll change your life. Put you back in the spotlight. Do you really miss being on CNN that bad? His eyes alight with fame lust, Weathers laughed a modest little laugh. Well, I'm sure there'll be some demands for my time and my insight. That's usually how the game's played. Just then, Helen arrived with the coffees. To go. Jazz and Howie snatched theirs up. It's not a game, douche, Jazz said. Yeah, and if it were, Howie said, you would seriously suck at it. They scooted from the coffee shop. Jazz shot one last look over his shoulder. Weathers still sat at the table in the window, glaring out at the two of them, his eyes lifeless and burning at the same time. He'd had a glimpse of the world beyond the nod when Billy was arrested, and would spend the rest of his life doing anything to call his way back to it. But he wouldn't get there by climbing up on Jazz's shoulders. Somewhere up the street, a dog barked. Jazz thought of Rusty. Great. An encounter with Doug Weathers, and now thinking of Rusty. He knew that this was going to be a bad day. And we are at the end of Chapter 7, Part 1.